Hello sir, how are you? Are you fine? What's happened? What's wrong with you? Are you okay? It's not looking well. Code Blue, please call Code Blue. Please come in.
Yes, ma'am. What happened?
He underwent surgery in the morning.
Okay.
One laparotomy, one big surgery. And past 1 hour he is not feeling well. Now he is
Okay.
looking very drowsy.
I need some help in here. Pulse is feeble. Patient is not breathing. Can we get the monitors connected? Are you okay, sir? Are you okay?
When he came from the operation theatre he was okay, but
Okay.
past 1 hour he is not doing well.
Heart rate is also low and BP is also low and start with heavy fluids.
Saturation looks low. I'll start oxygenation with a mask.
Sir, are you okay? Are you okay? We'll rush in IV fluids.
IV fluids connected.
Yeah, connected. Saturation is still low.
Chest raise is still not connected.
Saturation is still low. I think we'll have to intubate him.
Can we also get one dose of atropine because heart rate is not improving?
Giving atropine. Atropine 0.6 mg with.
Chest
Saturation is still not picking up. Let's go ahead with intubation. I want a MAC 4 blade and keep sizes 8 and 7.5 tubes ready.
He's looking very pale also.
Yes, ma'am. We'll
Going
rush
ahead
in
with
fluids.
intubation. You need some pressure.
Little bit, yes. Thank you. Under pressure, please check for the tube placement.
Inflated.
Air entry looks equal. Tube is in place. But saturation is not yet improving and heart rate is still low. We'll go ahead with CPR.
Start CPR and give 1 mg of.
Starting CPR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Giving
11,
adrenaline
12,
shot.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2,
Can
3,
you
4,
draw-
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
Can change over the road.
20.
I think pulse, little feeble pulse has come. Are you okay, sir? Still look drowsy. Can you send some blood sample for the blood investigation?
He was
And,
operated today, right?
Yeah,
It could have been some hemorrhagic shock or could have
yeah.
been
I
some
think he looks pale also. Shailaja, can you arrange the blood and talk to the relatives that he might need ICU admission?
And about continued mechanical ventilation.
Yeah,
We'll shift him to the ICU and
yeah. We'll shift to the ICU.
Welcome all of you to Ramaya Advanced Learning Center. So I'm Dr. Shrikar Pai, Associate Professor in Department of Surgery. So Dr. Keetana, today we are going to learn on techniques of suturing, right? So why don't you show us a simple surgical suturing technique, yeah?
Sure,
Yeah. You have to roll your wrist, enter perpendicular and roll your wrist. Very good. Pick it up, right? Very nice. Good. Go nearer to the, yes. Good. Hold it with your forceps and enter through the other edge of the wound. Good. And now you have to take, yes, pull it. Good. Yeah. Pull it. See to that. That is the short end. This is the long end. Very good. Here. Take couple of loops on your needle holder right? One, good. Hold the tip of the thread on that, yeah, and go to the opposite side. This, down, yes. Come on, do it. Excellent. Now reverse, use your backhand and yes, good. And hold the thread at the tip of the thread and reverse it. Yes. Now you got a surgical knot. Once you have done it, you have to cut it. Cut it. Yes. And give a sufficient gap between the two sutures. Okay. Give a sufficient gap between the sutures. So you have to roll your wrist again, equidistant you have to keep, all right, and take the suture, right, good. So all of you are following what Dr. Kirtana are doing? Yes, sir. Any doubts you people have got? Right. So that will be the short end and this will be the long end. So she'll have to hold the long end and make a loop. That is the loop. And hold the tip and bring it to the opposite side. This side. Yes, yes, that is perfect. And go ahead with the backhand and hold the tip of the thread and bring it back. That is a surgical knot. So you have to keep repeating it till the whole of the wound is sutured. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Madan. I'm a surgeon. I'll be teaching you how to get a IV access for multiple purposes like IV fluid infusion, IV antibiotic or parenteral nutrition. So what we'll do is, first we'll select the patient, pertinently select a arm or a foot where we find a sufficient size of or caliber of vein, followed by sufficient caliber of cannula or catheter, and how to prepare the area, how to go about it, and how will you secure it. These are the things. So first, let us select the left arm of this patient. We'll see if the veins are all right. So for the veins to be all right, the patient's BP has to be all right. Otherwise, the veins are usually collapsed. You have to answer. Veins are usually collapsed. So first, you can get the patient resuscitated with a smaller cannula, then go for a definitive therapy. Once we have selected the vein, distal to its flow or proximal to the heart, you tie a tourniquet or apply some pressure so that the vein distends. After the vein distends, see the size of the vein, then select the cannula accordingly and according to the need. If you have to give a parenteral nutrition or electrolytes, it has to be proximal to the heart. One thing. Second thing, it has to be a larger bore cannula or a larger bore catheter. If we are going to give only IV fluids or only IV antibiotics, you can select a smaller cannula. The smaller cannula has a disadvantage that it spurts, so chances of thrombophlebitis is earlier. It is not avoided. Any cannula will cause thrombophlebitis sooner or later. So, in this patient, what size cannula do you want to pick? 22. She wants 22. 28 is not there. The largest we get is 24 or 26 maximum. The two needles. As the size increases, the caliber of the catheter reduces. As the size reduces, let us say 14 gauge, 16 gauge, those are larger bore cannulas where you have to give large amount of fluids in a shorter amount of time or to transfuse blood. So after selecting the arm and the vein, what we do is we apply a tourniquet, distend the veins. You have to answer. Distend the veins. Then Before that, clean the area. Clean the surface with a disinfectant. Can be betadine solution, can be chlorhexidine, can be alcohol or spirit. Alcohol or spirit followed by chlorhexidine. Last thing is betadine, because betadine takes longer time to act. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to act. So after we select the vein, we hold the arm, clean the area. So once it is sterile, we are not going to do anything. Before that, you can tap the vein, do whatever you want to, distend the vein properly, move the arm, then clean the area, then take the cannula. This is how you hold the cannula. This is how you hold the cannula. Not holding around the wings, because that will be making the area unsterile, because you will be touching the area again. You cannot avoid your fingers unless your fingers are cut short for some reason. So you will be holding it like this. This will provide the torque. This will provide the control. This is not the right way. This is the right way. You cannot do it like this, because the stillet will move back. So putting pressure plus holding it tight. This will give you the proper grip. So after that, after cleaning, after you stretch the skin, you select the area to be pricked, go at 45-degree angle, and once you get the free flow of blood, keep removing the stillet and pushing at the same time so that it goes in. See, the flow of blood is confirmed. You can compress the vein proximally so the blood flow reduces, connect it to the IV cannula, IV set, so that the fluid or whatever can be checked. So before doing that, the IV set and the IV fluid, whatever you want to give, should be ready. If you are putting it for only IV antibiotics or some pantoprazole infusion or something, then you don't have to get an IV set. You have to have a syringe filled with normal saline or distilled water, no other fluid. You can keep it ready, flush the area, take out the air bubbles, remove this, flush this and see. If you are getting any swelling here, then it is a double puncture or you are in the subcutaneous plane. If you are not getting that, then it is fine. Clear?
Yes.
Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Should I repeat the procedure? Anyone wants to try? Come. Wear gloves and do. You have to be active. So, as I told you, as the number of the cannula reduces, the size increases. As the size decreases, the size increases. Okay, it is the other way around, it is inversely proportional. It is about the internal diameter of the cannula, not the external diameter. It can be however thick it needs to be, but it is the internal diameter that is the gauge, and it is an internationally acclaimed or internationally set standard, and it is not going to change whether you are in India, Pakistan or Bangladesh. Everywhere people will use the same size.
Hello everybody, I am Dr. Rahul, arthroscopy and sports medicine surgeon working in Ramaya Medical College. Right now we are in the Advanced Learning Center, which is the place where when we, using the cadavers which are present over here, we do a lot of demonstrations and technique, the way the techniques are to be done, the approaches which are shown to our postgraduate students. So what we are going to do right now is a diagnostic arthroscopy of the knee. So we have the knee cadaver, the knee in position. So the first thing which we are going to do is we are going to do what is called as the surface marking. So those are the borders of the patella which we are going to mark. That's the superior border, that's the lateral edge, and that's the inferior border. So that's your, okay. So let's bend the knee now. Let's try to find where exactly the knee joint is. So that's the lower pole of the patella, okay. From there, as you go medially, you will be able to find your medial joint line, okay. So that's what I have marked there now. That's the lower end of femur, that's the upper end of tibia, okay. The same way on the lateral side, what we are going to do is find the soft spot there, okay. That's the lower end of femur, okay, and that's the upper end of tibia. Okay. We also need to mark out where are the borders of the ligamentum the patella tendon. Okay. So that's your patella tendon border, one on that side, the lateral border and the medial border. Okay. Another thing which we need to avoid is an injury to the common peroneal nerve. So we need to find the neck of the fibula, where the fibula is. Okay. The common peroneal nerve would be passing across the neck of the fibula in this position. So we need to avoid any incisions going in that area. Okay. So let's start off with making the entry. So the entry is usually through the lateral portal, okay, what is called as the anterolateral portal. So where is that? So that's the lower pole of patella. So just go a bit more lateral to it, just lateral to the lateral border of the patella tendon, and there you find a soft spot. Okay. So that's going to be your anterolateral portal. In a similar way, when you go on to the medial side, okay, just medial to the patella tendon at the lower border of patella is where your anteromedial portal is. Okay. So after doing these markings, let's go on to the procedure per se. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll take a 11 number blade, okay, with it directed, with the knife directed upwards, so that when we are entering the joint, we are not going to damage any of the tissues inside, which is the meniscus. Okay. So that's your lower pole of patella. I am reconfirming it. That's the anterolateral portal, and I am plunging my knife into the joint. Okay. So you will feel a give way, which means to say you are inside the joint. Okay. You can, after that, you can use a artery forceps to increase the size of the entry portal. Okay. If it's not okay, then there is no harm in probably extending the incision or making a fresh incision over there, so that your entry is good. Okay. Put your artery back in, trying to get into the joint, and there you are. Okay. So that's your anterolateral portal which we have made first. Okay. Now here we have our trocar. Okay. So how do we insert the trocar? Hold it in this position. Okay. Gradually, with an angle of around 45 degrees, gradually push it into the, gradually you can raise the leg up. Okay. Go feel the undersurface of the patella and push your the trocar inside. Okay. So keep holding the knee. Okay. So you should not allow it to bend. Then we take the camera and insert it into the sheath and lock the camera. Use your saline, which is your irrigation, and also a suction. So we have inserted the camera into the knee joint, okay, and we are able to see the knee through the arthroscope. Okay. So we are inside the knee now. Gradually, as I come out, okay, that's the undersurface of your kneecap. Okay. How do you identify that? When you push the kneecap, okay, you will be able to see that the kneecap is moving. Okay. So right now we were doing a triscopy. Now as we allow the irrigation fluid to come in, you can see a lot more space there. Okay. So from there, okay, what you can do is you can enter either into the medial joint space gradually come out once again, check for the undersurface of the patella, and then enter into the medial joint space. Okay. And then you can leave your leg down like that, okay, and you are into the medial joint space. Okay. So once you do that, again raise the leg back up, go back into the suprapatellar pouch, okay, and then we are into the lateral gutter. In case you have problems like these, it is always better to come back out, completely remove the scope out so that you don't damage it. Okay. Why don't you hold that for me, and use the trocar again you can leave the leg down now. Enter back in, raise the leg up, go into the suprapatellar pouch again. Okay, remove your trocar, put the camera back into the sheath. Okay. Now it is locked. Okay. So irrigation, switch it on back on. Okay. We have finished the medial gutter. We'll go into the lateral gutter now slowly. Okay. So you are in the lateral gutter now. Okay. Sometimes there could be some amount of loose bodies which are there over here. Okay. So gradually from the lateral gutter, what you can do is you can get back into the joint. Okay. So gradually I am pulling out the scope and simultaneously pushing my scope into the joint. Okay. Gradually you can leave the leg down now. Okay. So that's our knee joint there. Okay. So as you can notice over here, this seems to be an arthritic knee. You can see that the cartilage, that's the femoral condyle. Okay. The upper part is the femoral condyle. The lower part is the tibial condyle. Okay. What is supposed to be a smooth glistening surface is no longer there. Okay. So probably what has happened is there has been a wear and tear of the knee. Okay. So and hence the cartilage is worn off over there. Okay. So that's we are into the medial joint space. Okay. So this is what we are viewing through the anterolateral portal. Okay. So this is just what we are viewing now. Okay. So when we make our anteromedial portal, so we can use that as the instrument portal. Okay. So we will take the 11 blade again, make an incision as we discussed earlier through the anteromedial portal, make an opening, use an artery or something. Rahul, can you do it? So plunge the artery into the joint, gradually open up this one. Yes, yes. Okay. So once that is done, then you can use your probe. Use your probe to get into the joint. Lift the light source cable. It's too heavy. Okay, there is some amount of fat pad over there which is normally going to be present. So we have to, as you can notice over here, that's the shining instrument which of my probe. So which needs to pass through that fat pad and come back into the joint. Okay, so we are in the joint now. Okay, so what we are going to do next is go into the medial joint first. Okay, so we'll try to have a look at the meniscus. Okay, and then we will go into the lateral joint, and then we will see our ligaments, the major ligaments, the ACL and the PCL. Okay, so can you gradually lift the leg up? Okay, keep it at around 20 or 30 degrees of flexion and try to give some valgus force. Okay, so for clarity you may have to irrigate sometimes. Okay, so that's your meniscus which is there. Okay, so the free floating thing which is there, which is attached only to the tibia, is your meniscus. Okay, there is some muck inside. Try to use some irrigation to clear out your view. Okay, so that's your meniscus there. So try to probe onto the undersurface of the meniscus. Gradually put your probe and try to feel for the undersurface. Change the position of the probe. Okay, and saline ka liya kidhar. Parts of the meniscus. okay, what you can see over there. Okay, so this seems to be an elderly individual. Okay, so that's the reason why you're seeing so much of degeneration, so much of fraying over there. Okay, normally a pristine meniscus would not be seen like this. Okay, so now gradually lift the leg, Rahul. So we'll try to put our probe into the undersurface of the meniscus. 1 second, let me show that properly to you. Yeah, so that's, you're putting your probe underneath. Okay, I have changed the direction of the probe and trying to pull. As you can notice, the meniscus is not being pulled out. Okay, so that means to say whatever posterior attachment is there, it's still there. Okay, so now I have changed my position back and I'm pulling it out. Okay, the same way you can go to the medial side also. Okay, so when we are in the medial joint, okay, so that's your medial femoral condyle. Okay, as you can, I presume you can feel the grating over there, which means to say there is absolutely no cartilage over there. So seems to be an elderly individual. Okay, the same over here. Okay, in a cadaver you may not be able to feel the red bodies, but in this one, in a patient, okay, you will be able to properly check. You need to check for this because that can indicate that there is again a degeneration, or secondary to some amount of trauma, there is it is leading on to an arthritis. Okay, so that's, we are in the medial joint now. So gradually put it in the figure of 4 position so that we go into the lateral joint slowly. Okay. Not so much. Pull it out slowly. Yes. Still the joint is not seen. No, put it in figure of 4. Gradually put it in figure of 4. Okay. I need somebody. Varun, can you press over here? Okay, give some varus thrust. Okay, as I told you, the fat pad, okay, is coming in the way. Whenever I'm trying to get the probe into the middle, the fat pad is bringing the probe is bringing, it's coming with the fat pad. Okay, so now we have been able to come into the lateral joint. Okay, press some more over here. Okay, so, Rahul, can you gradually extend the knee? No, flex it further only. It's not seen that well. Okay. Again, there is, okay, fine. So that's your meniscus way posteriorly over there. I am putting my probe underneath the meniscus. Okay, I've changed the direction of the probe and trying to pull. Okay, so that is, the meniscus is not being pulled out. Okay, so it means to say it is still attached. Okay, so there is no tear over there. What we are basically interested in is, was there a tear at the first instance? Okay, so sometimes, not sometimes, nearly every time, unless it's a very arthritic and a small knee, you should be able to see the popliteus also. Once you raise the meniscus, okay, just underneath on the posterolateral aspect, you should be able to see the popliteus. Let me see whether I'll be able to show it to you over here. Okay, fine. So bring the leg back down. Let me collect back the irrigation again. Okay, fine. So yes, so we are back into the notch now, okay, with the knee flexed to 90 degrees, okay. So that's your lateral femoral condyle, okay, and slightly as I pull back, that's your trochlear notch, okay, and that's your, on the medial side, on the left side would be your medial femoral condyle, okay. So this trochlea is the one where the patella articulates, okay. So as you can notice over here also, there is some amount of, it's roughened area. Okay, so this is the area where your ACL would be attached. Okay, there seems to be a small loose body or something over there, some cystic lesion which is there, seen over there. Okay, fine. So on the lateral, the ACL fibers, okay, you can probably see it much more better now. Okay. The ACL fibers get attached to the tibial spine, okay, at the level of the lateral meniscus. Okay, so that's your ACL fibers, okay, and then from there they go in an oblique direction and get attached to the medial aspect of the lateral femoral condyle. Okay, as you can notice over here, this is probably an osteophyte. Okay, the lateral femoral condyle is supposed to get over here, but as you can notice over here, there is a projection over here which could probably be an osteophyte. Okay, so that's our ACL. Okay, I am trying to probe the ACL. Okay, it is seen well. Okay, so the ACL is still intact. Okay, now let's go onto the lateral surface of the medial femoral condyle. Okay, so that's our medial femoral condyle. Okay, so that is the area where our PCL is supposed to be attached, the posterior cruciate ligament. Okay, so which takes attachment from the medial surface, lateral surface of the medial femoral condyle, and then goes in an oblique direction and attaches to the proximal part of the posteriorly onto the proximal aspect of the tibia behind the tibial spines. Okay, the attachment goes up to around 2 centimeters below the joint. Okay, so what are the procedures which we can do through this? So we can do a meniscal repair or a meniscectomy. We can also do an ACL reconstruction or a PCL reconstruction. Okay, and also if there are some issues with the cartilage, any cartilage procedures. Okay, and sometimes there could be some amount of loose bodies which could be there within the knee. So some of the osteophytes which have got loosened up and are there within the joint, those also can be removed. Okay, that's a basic idea of the diagnostic arthroscopy of the knee. Okay, thank you very much for your time and patience.
Welcome to Ramaya Medical College, and we are presently in the Advanced Learning Center, and this is the skills lab here. So we use this center as to train our students, that is graduates, postgraduates and faculty members, as well as faculties from across the nation, to teach them various skills across this. And presently here we are in this where we have final year postgraduate students of the Department of General Surgery being trained under these laparoscopic trainee boxes to teach them how to do intracorporeal suturing. So this will progress on later on to when they actually go on to do patient care, to learn those skills and continue along with that. Right? And this helps them in improving their skills and shortening the process in which they learn their skills, and also improving their skills, which will benefit in patient care as a whole. And these centers that we have, very many other instruments are also used for training of different structures, like we have for endoscopy, bronchoscopy structures, for simulations of different laparoscopic surgeries, for arthroscopy and different orthopedics, as well as artificial intelligence, etc. So thank you very much.
Welcome to the Ramaya Medical College, and we are here at the Ramaya Advanced Learning Center, and here we are going to see what we can do using an ortho simulator. And an ortho simulator is where we are going to train our postgraduates to perform the surgical skills before they actually perform this on the patients. So let's get started, guys. And right here we have the posterolateral exposure being performed. So you know, in the posterolateral exposure, as we have put the skin incision, can we go down further now that we have the retraction and all done? So this is going to function like the drill, and you know that we have got the reduction in, and once we have got the reduction in, we have got all the pieces put together, and there are K-wires which are going to retain it, and then that's the tentative implant that we are going to use. Yes, sir. Right? So let's get it started with the drilling. And as we drill that, yes, so could you feel that? Can you feel the same resistance that you get when you actually drill it on the cadaver? So that's what we are going to look at. Okay, so once we get the fixation correct, this is going to be your certification. Welcome to the Ramaya Medical College. Here we are again at the Ramaya Advanced Learning Center, where we have the best of the technology which is here to enabling students to learn. Now right here is the virtual reality. So this is useful for training both the undergraduates as well as the postgraduate students. So we are going to see a particular section being chosen here. Now Rahul here has chosen a skull to be seen. So once he sees the skull, so he can see it in all three dimensions. What we are seeing here on the monitor is only what he is looking at, but he is seeing everything in 3 dimensions. So it is possible to see everything in sections. So you can rotate the skull that way. You can see it from the undersurface. Right now he is looking at the undersurface of the skull. Then you can see that he is rotating it up. Okay, Rahul wants to look at it upside down. Okay, then you can even find a cross section through that. You can just section it and you can see axial section. And it is the best way you can learn and the best way you can see anatomy. You don't need to be exactly onto a cadaver, you don't need to be doing a dissection, but then you have looking at everything in virtual reality. So this is the virtual reality which we use to train our medical students and the postgraduates here. Thank you so much.
Shifted. You finished your rounds in the ICU and yeah. Oh, there's a case. So let us.
The first ECG is it's a 57-year-old male. Okay. The first ECG shows anterior wall MI.
Okay. Was the loading dose given?
Yes, the full loading dose was given, including clopidogrel.
And the vitals were?
He is stable, but saturation was on lower side, so nasal prong was started. Saturation was 90 on room.
Okay.
Yeah, hi.
So we have a 57-year-old male with no comorbidities, presented with chest pain. Our retrieval team has just responded to the call that we received and have picked him up. The first ECG transmitted as this is showing on ST elevation MI, and full loading dose is being given.
Keshav, can you just check on his conscious state and the orientation? Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Are you okay, sir? He's responding.
Yeah, he's responding. Yeah, fine. There's a change in the rhythm. Has it got disconnected?
Hello,
just check the pulse. No pulse. Oh, please start CPR. Put the footstool on. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah. Keshav, take care of the airway. Rahul, look at the defibrillator.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, let us go ahead and shock the patient. 200 joules. Yeah, pads are on. Yeah, move, Jerry.
25.
Yeah, place the pads. 200. You're clear?
I am clear, all clear. Delivering shock. Shock delivered. Please
Continue CPR.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5.
Stop the strip. IV line in. Yeah. It just flush. Get the adrenaline ready. 1 milligram of adrenaline, please. Don't give it. Hold on. Once 3 minutes is up, please let us know. Is Shiv over there? Yeah, you just call him so that he can come and do the compression.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30.
We need
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Two minutes up, huh?
in my watch. There's still another 30 seconds more, so just set yours to the another 30 seconds. Yeah. Can we have the step? Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Connect the ETCO2. No? Yes? 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 Continue. Little faster. Yeah. Keep it. Yeah. Continue the CPR. Yeah. Get your amiodarone ready, 300 milligrams. Rahul, amiodarone must be there, 300 milligrams. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, 300 milligrams. Wait, 3 shocks are done? Yeah, just wait for the third shock. Connect and keep. Just wait for the third shock. Yeah, 2 minutes up. Yeah, rhythm same. No pulse. Yeah, Go ahead. Yeah, hands off, oxygen off. Chest.
Oxygen off. Hands off.
Hands off.
Charging.
You're clear?
I'm clear. All clear. Oxygen off. Shock delivered. Continue.
Yeah, continue CPR. Change. Dr. Keshav? Change? Yeah. Move, move. Let Dr. Keshav do. Yeah. Every 2 minutes change, please. Yeah. Deeper, deeper. Yeah. One more. Amiodarone, please. 300 milligrams. Flush.
300 amiodarone given. 20 ml flush given. Hand raise.
Faster, Keshav. Yeah, little faster. Yeah. Change.
No pulse. Rhythm same.
1 in 1000, 2 in 1000, 3 in 1000, 4 in 1000, 5 in 1000, 6 in 1000. Ventilator is ready? Can we connect to the ventilator, please? Yeah, yeah. 1 more milligram of adrenaline, ready? Yeah, you have to give the flush, Rahul. Take the, after you give adrenaline, take the 5 cc or 10 cc syringe and give the flush, please. Give the adrenaline.
When is the adrenaline given? Followed by flush.
Fine, fine.
37.
Tell me after a minute. There is a rhythm change. Can you take a strip, please? We'll finish the 1 minute. We'll finish the cycle. Yeah. So you think that the cause? Yeah, check for pulse. Let's see. Yeah? Yeah, there is a pulse. Can you just check the blood pressure? Get a 12 lead ECG. Check the temperature. Cooling to be continued. Yeah, ventilator connected. Let's get a chest X-ray done. Bloods, please. Draw the blood and a blood gas. CBC, electrolytes, RFT, coagulation. Okay, inform the cardiology team. Yeah. Can we have adrenaline infusion? Started with also a dopamine. Let's start with 1 microgram per kg each and then try to taper it. Monitor. Anything we have forgotten? Anything else we require to do?
We've dealt with the 5 H's and P's also.
Yeah, I think. So now you can just check the patient, auscultate and check if everything is okay. Yeah.
Everything is equal bilaterally.
Okay. Thank you. That was good. The team cardiology, once they come, let us hand over. So how do you think it went? The blood pressures are maintained?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Blood pressures are picked up after the infusions.
Okay, that's good.
These are his current vitals.
30, 80 heart rate. Yeah. ETCO to 30, so you can actually decrease the number of ventilations.
Yes, ma'am.
VT, you can decrease it by about, to come down to 450?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. So you'll need to do a 2D echo. The echo machine is here. Just check out the status, right? He'll be taking, right. So we close.